keep looking. Am I remembering it wrong? I'll keep looking.
Let's go somewhere cool.
Port Ormos. No, I didn't design any one specific building. Most of my work here concerned structural renovation. Port Ormos had already existed since I was still a young child. It wasn't as large as it is now, though. It only came to its current size after a sizable expansion. I was part of that project. The arch bridge over there, for example, that was one of my designs. When I was first tasked with the project, I decided to reference the growth patterns of nearby trees to split Port Ormos into 2 levels. My goal was to improve the overall utilization of space. We ran into a lot of issues during construction, but thankfully, we were still able to achieve the original vision. Residents can now behold all the ships entering and leaving the harbor from the vantage point of the bridge, while visitors can recognize the site of Port Ormos from a long ways away. I was still young and new to the trade back then. I could hardly believe that an idea in my head could become reality and remain in the world for many years to come. The true cornerstone of the creative process. The point about the design that will be ultimately used to judge its true worth. It was the first time that it became crystal clear in my mind. Once built, a building will continue to stand. Countless people will see it, and countless more will step inside it. Its final worth, whether it's good or bad, will be assessed by the countless generations of people that interact with the building during their lives. You think so? I'm glad to hear that. But even with this project, I still had one small regret. My budget was tight, and I was unable to use the higher quality timber I had originally intended for the design. I knew that some concessions on aesthetics would be needed as soon as I agreed to a proposal that prioritized the practical functions of the project. Us creative types know better than anyone that most projects cannot be completed without a few regrets. Even the Palace of Alcazarzare was not perfect. Yeah, you're right. I should learn to look toward future opportunities and believe that any regrets I have can be overcome in time. We've spent long enough here. There's still one last place I want to go, but it's a little far. Would you be interested in a quick trip to the desert? Great. Most of my projects over the last few years have had something to do with the desert, partially because there's a special place there that I often visit. This is a rare opportunity, so why don't you come along and see it for yourself? If you ever feel down, maybe you'll be able to go there and feel better too. Who would have thought that so many primal constructs could have congregated here while I was gone? We won't be able to sit and talk peacefully with these guys around. Let's clear the area.
Settle down!
Hey! Illusion shattered!
Ha! Sight clear!
Silence!
Isn't this place great? I often come here to clear my mind when I'm dealing with a difficult situation. You know what I mean. Everyone finds themselves in frustrating situations once in a while. Just take me as an example. My family life got shaken up quite a bit when I was young. I struggled in school, and I got into a huge pile of debt building the Palace of Alcazarzaray. Although Alhaitham thinks that it's because of my personality that I continue to live in the shadow of the past, I think it's also just a part of life. Plus, if I look back, I've honestly had my fair share of good luck as well. You could probably say I've followed in the path of my mother. Like her, I've gained a name for myself as an architect, built something that's seen as my magnum opus, and found many projects that others have entrusted to me to finish. Life is too boring when you live with no enthusiasm and passion. Only those who believe in the inherent meaning of it can capture the small nuances of everyday life and turn them into inspiration for beautiful designs. Of course, I will concede that loving something also means taking it to heart. So to an extent, caring is also a source of pain. If I didn't love my work, I wouldn't be so torn up about it all the time. But still, isn't this place beautiful? Despite the erosion from the winds and changing seasons, you can still perceive its past beauty and glory. With different landforms come different architectural styles. The desert's history has left it with few records regarding its buildings, so I often visit the desert to investigate things in person. The sight here has moved me ever since the first time I laid my eyes on it. I told myself that one day, I would also be able to create buildings that move others. My pain will one day fade into nothing just as I reach the end of my life. But buildings are different. They are far more valuable than most materialistic things, and far more durable than human flesh. As long as there remain souls in the world who can decipher the meaning behind them, they will also have acknowledged me across the vast stream of time. If you were to ask me what art is, that would be my answer. You think so? But I feel I've always been like this. Remember that question I brought up before? The one about whether I should see art as a divine gift of inspiration from the gods, or as a product of my own existential struggle. I still haven't found an answer to that yet. But if art wasn't inherently paradoxical and enigmatic, then people probably wouldn't be drawn to it. Those who pursue art will be unable to avoid the pain that it naturally brings. Will often be floating on cloud 9 one second and sinking in a mire the next. I'll try gathering my thoughts again once I've found a way to define art in the first place. In any case, thank you so much. Taking this commission was truly the worst decision. Actually, while we're on that, what are you doing? Anyway, stress is just an inescapable part of being a working adult. Boss, do you want something too? I'll put it on my tab.
Wine in a glass of juice?
I know you're already keeping a secret from me, but if you could add... That guy, though... What was he... Another glass, please.
You've got it, sir.
It really is every other day, but perhaps getting used... I would spend a lot of time altering... I suppose, though, that just stick... All of this makes for a
Here's your drink.
Boss?
The meaning of art. Anyway, I don't know about art, but I...
What do you think, traveler? Yes, art shouldn't be self-indulgent entertainment saved for the elite. Let's say that I built a house for someone. If they don't like how it looks, then no matter how brilliant it may appear to me, they won't be happy with it. The problem is that it can be very difficult to get validated by others. I could compromise my personal standards to accommodate my clients, but often that just means creating a final product that I would struggle to look at. Sounds great to me. A different career. I see. That's not a bad idea. I think I've heard a saying somewhere before. 80% of a working adult's woes are due to not having enough mora in the bank. It's just a saying, of course, but even I will admit that my life would be a lot better if I could make additional mora. And if I want to make mora, I should finish that ridiculous commission. But I really can't find it in me to go back and talk to him right now. Hold on. I just remembered that I used to have a senior classmate by the name of Alkami. If memory serves me right, he's no longer taking private commissions, but he's still doing pretty well for himself. Maybe I'll be able to get some advice from him. Yeah, I should get on this right away. No more wine for me today. I'll grab the bill and be on my way.
Kaveh, it's you! It's been a while. What have you been up to recently?
Yeah, it's been a long time, Alkami. Things haven't changed much for me. I'm still taking private commissions for all kinds of projects.
I heard that you were the genius behind the Palace of Alcazazare. I bet you're all set for Mora after a project of that size.
Well, it's hard to make a profit from every project, you know?
Hard to make a profit? You've got to be joking. I've never met an architect who didn't make a profit from a project. Unless the client fled before they paid the commission fee in full. But that doesn't sound right either. Doesn't Dory have a pretty decent reputation in our local business circles? I don't think she's ever been involved in any kind of big scandal.
Well,
I understand. Either way, doing one project after I obviously never had your reputation to live up to. That must have been stressful. But I'm sure we've faced all the same problems. Trying to keep your client in a good mood while you're trying to stop them from micromanaging things they don't know the first thing about. I don't miss it. Thankfully, that's all behind me now. Not exactly. My work is still closely related to architecture. Judging from the look on your face, you're still strapped for Mora. That's quite unfortunate. You're the most artistically gifted graduate the Ksharawar Darshan has seen in decades. But it looks like you still have a lot to learn in terms of making Mora. With that said, us Ksharawar grads should still look out for each other. What if I told you about an idea that'll absolve you of all your Mora troubles going forward?
are you serious? But something like that has got to be some kind of top-level business secret. Are you sure you can just share something like that with me? Besides, I don't want to just take something like that without offering anything in return. I still have a little Mora. Or is there something that I can help you with?
Oh, you're too kind. This is just a simple tip. Even if I didn't bring it up, I'm sure you'd hear it from the others sooner or later. The idea is this. I recently opened up a training center with the goal of educating people in architecture design. Compared to the classes taught by those old fossils at the academia, my classes are more condensed and streamlined and will allow people to quickly get their foot in the door. Unlike the academia, I won't turn down anyone who's interested, rich or poor. As long as someone wishes to learn more about architecture, I'll accept them into my training center. It just so happens that I'm still looking for a few more instructors. So, what do you say? Interested in coming over to give a few lectures? Regardless of the pay, I can already guarantee that it'll be far more comfortable than working on random people's private commissions.
Ah, so you want me to join you as an instructor? That does sound like something I'd be able to do. It sounds like a pretty stable job, too. What do you think, Traveler?
Then it's a deal?
Yes, it's a deal. Thank you, Alkami.
Like I said, there's no need to thank me for this. The lecture room is not far from here, so you can just come straight here tomorrow morning. As for the pay, how about we start at 300,000 Mora per lecture?
300,000? Are you serious? How could you offer so much?
It would seem that you're still oblivious to your own economic worth. 300,000 is nothing compared to the prestige of having the Light of Ksharawar as one of my instructors. 300,000 is also just the base rate. Just trust me on this. The longer you stick with me, the more you'll come to understand your true value in the market. I have to go make some preparations now. See you tomorrow.
I was never particularly close with Alkami when we were in school. Who would have thought that he'd be so nice and friendly? I've hosted free lectures before, but this would be my first time being hired to lecture for a formal business. 300,000. Thanks so much. Now, what should I talk about tomorrow? Some lessons I've learned over the past few years? I should probably save those for later. For my first lecture, I should start by getting them more interested in the field. All right, let's meet here again tomorrow morning. I should hurry home and create some kind of lesson plan. If I'm going to become an instructor, I should make sure I show up prepared.
Oh, I didn't expect you two to get here so early.
I was up last night preparing for the lecture, but I ended up getting so excited that I couldn't fall asleep. Here, I've prepared a lesson plan. Do you want to take a look?
Lesson plan? I must commend you for your dedication. But the training center has already developed its own set of teaching materials. Instead of using your own plan, you can just use what we have here. Of course, you're always welcome. Sure, be my guest. It's almost time for the lecture to start. Feel free to head in and start the class whenever you're ready.
Huh. So you've already developed your own set of teaching materials. Seems like I won't need the stuff I've prepared after all. There's something else I want to ask, though.
No need to stress. There are 14 classes at my training center. Out of all of them, the first class has the best grades, so I've directed them to you. We'll see how well they take to your lectures.
20 people, huh?
Oh, and one last thing. In the interest of keeping a quiet learning space, only instructors and students are allowed in the classroom when class is in session. I'm sorry to say this, but your friend will have to wait outside.
Sorry about that.
Hey there. Can I help you? Oh, Alkami? You mean that rich guy who's been making quite the name for himself? Yeah, he commissioned a set of furniture from me a while back. Paid a great deal of more for it, too. I heard he earned a fortune working as a renowned architect. If the tuition wasn't sky high, I'd enroll my child in a heartbeat. Architect...
Did you hear? Alkami recruited Kaveh to be an instructor.
I bet that'll boost his enrollment numbers.
Really makes you jealous, eh? If you think about it, Alkami was never that talented himself as an architect. If we're just talking about professional skill, no one would pay for a class with him.
That's true, but you've got to admit, his advertisements are really effective. After all, the academia only admits those that can pass its entrance exam. So only a few people could hope to study architecture in the halls of the Kasharwar. For those who can't pass the exam, or who just want to jump straight into the industry, the training center is the best bet.
Man, to have that kind of business acumen.
All right, everyone. Class is over, so we can just chat for a bit. I shouldn't have lost my temper during...
No, you weren't scary at all, Mr. Kaveh. We were just...
Oh, don't get me started. I was trying to use Alkami's materials, so I flipped through... Alkami may fool an amateur, but he can't fool anyone who's active in our profession. The materials he made are completely useless. In my opinion, the most important skill of an architect is their ability to craft a design. In other words, they must be able to conceptualize ideas. There are tens of thousands of buildings in the world, as well as a countless number of architectural styles. Some designs emphasize the architects who can critically evaluate the quality and fit of different designs are those who can come up with great designs of their own. But you won't get any of that from the teaching materials they're using here. All these students are doing in class is rote memorization of existing designs. They are learning nothing about the... How can they expect to become real architects? When they're done with this class, all they'll become are dilettantes with a...
But Mr. Kaveh, we didn't really understand anything you said. What's the big deal anyway? It's not like we're
You're studying arch...
Yeah! Why else would we be studying here? My biggest dream is to become someone like Mr. Alkami. Once I finally...
In that case, I'm afraid you'll probably be disappointed. The reality...
But how? He also said that as long as we graduate from his class, waves upon... It won't be long before I can put these miserable days behind me.
Come on.
But, Mr. Alkami...
You... It's pointless trying to argue that... Let's go, Traveler. Let's hear about Alkami.
class earlier was really amazing.
When can we finally graduate? I just want to get out of this place and start making some Mora.
I'll try going over the stuff Mr. Kavi taught us once I get back home. I mean, it can't hurt.
What's wrong, Kave? You look quite flustered. Did one of my students offend you? Were the students not astute enough for your liking? I must implore you to go a bit easier on them. After all, they're nothing like the genius scholars you're used to dealing with at the academia. We don't need to strive for perfect understanding. As long as some knowledge has been passed on, that's good enough.
Yeah, I'm mad at them. But I'm even more upset that you're scamming people under the guise of teaching them about architecture. The students are all here hoping for a quick way to make money, but we both know that an architect's life is hard and exhausting. Just a little while ago, I was toiling over the 6th draft of a design for a client. If your client is unhappy, you can't break ground, and the longer a project goes, the longer it takes for you to get paid in full. What's worse, if your client disappears in the middle of a project, good luck getting anything from them ever again. You know all of this just as well as I do. Why lie to them?
Look, Kave, you may be the light of Ksharawar, but like I said, you still have a lot to learn about making Mora. You may deny it all you want, but it's a fact that in today's Sumeru, architecture is a terrible profession. Our clients care very little for the effort we pour into our designs. Instead of appreciating us, they spend all their time nitpicking details and demanding changes, often forcing all kinds of ridiculous ideas onto us.
I suppose that's more or less true. Go on.
Why should we cling on to a profession that's difficult and unrewarding? If the field is dying, then a person who still wants to make a good living will just have to change their strategy. If it's near impossible to make money as an architect, then why not just establish a training center and train other people to become architects in our stead?
Wait, how does that make any sense? Aren't you just leading them into the same trap?
We are already stuck, my friend. The more people we can lead into this pit and stack as padding beneath our feet, the more... That's right. Making money as an architect is a slow and agonizing process. In comparison, earning tuition from a training center is far easier. None of the students will ever know, however. In their eyes, all of my income was earned during my years as an architect. It's easy for them to fall for my promise. After all, everyone wants to live the dream of being the person who can spend millions without batting an eye. The more students I get, the more money I earn. And the more real that dream becomes.
And then what? Once they graduate, they'll still find out the truth about architecture and struggle to stay afloat amid all the problems we already talked about. When that happens, your facade will pop like a soap bubble. No one will believe you anymore.
But that's just one way to look at the problem. No two people have the same amount of talent. Even if they fail to strike gold in the future, you can't say that it's my fault and mine alone. Oh, and also, I never actually promised that they would achieve financial freedom as long as they become architects. All I did was nudge them towards that belief. I'm not even scared if they do come back and stir up trouble. My training center has all the required permits and certifications. Even the Dendro Archon herself couldn't find fault in any part of my business.
How can you sleep at night knowing that you're doing all this? Tell me, is your heart carved out of brick and stone? I can't believe that I once saw you as a decent human being. I am beyond disappointed in you.
And the same goes to you. How many years has it been since you graduated from the academia? If you still can't accept something like this, do you just plan on keeping that worthless naivete of yours until the end of time? Only fools will see art as revered and sacred. In the end, art is just another business. Being successful at running a business is an art form in itself. I urge you to think about what I've said. Offloading your pain onto others is the only way a person can live comfortably in this world. As the light of the Ksharowa, you've accumulated plenty of fame and respect. It's high time that you use those resources to improve the circumstances of your own life. Think it over, Kaveh. I still believe our collaboration could be very fruitful.
I'm so mad. I feel a headache coming on. There's nothing more I can say to him. I'll resign from... Of course. I'm sure you've realized that as long as I remained at this center, he would be able to use mine. He is right about one thing, though. These kinds of training centers are everywhere. The most that they could accuse him of is false advertising. And even that would be hard to... Oh? Did you notice something else? Yeah, you've got a point. The rate he gave me was 300,000 mora per lecture. That probably came out of the students' tuition. If you're gambling everything on making it rich as an architect, are you really going to have the mora to pay? Right. We should hurry. The students didn't believe a word I was telling them. We're never going to get any information from them again if we let Alkami talk to them first. Let's...
Oh, Mr. Kaveh?
Class finished a while ago, but you're
I wanted to stay for a little longer. I'm still thinking about everything you taught during the class.
Of course they were. All the examples I drew were world-famous. It's a good thing that you could recognize them for their beauty. The accumulation of knowledge is the first step to artistic expression. Instead of rote memorization, you should try to relate and to understand.
Resonate?
Yes. When I first got into architecture, there were many things about it that I couldn't understand at all. I would find a building to be beautiful, but have no idea what made it so good. And for most people, just being able to admire a building is enough. To become a good architect, however, going from admiration to assessment will take a lot of time and specialized knowledge, and I'm afraid that some superficial speed...
Just as I thought.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to crush your dreams. All I want...
I understand. Thank you for telling me the truth, Mr. Kaveh. Sorry, I can't say anything more.
Don't listen to him. I am the most famous architect in Sumeru.
Really?
Why would I pull your leg? I can see you have some talent. So as long as you get your fundamentals down, you should be able to pass the entrance exam.
Then please keep this a secret for me, Mr. Kaveh. Truth be told, Mr. Alkami was the one who reached out to my parents. He told them that he knew. He told all the students that once we graduate, people would come flocking to commission us for projects. If everything went well, we'd be able to pay.
How much did your family borrow?
I think it was...
And what was the interest rate?
I'm not really sure. My parents were the ones who signed the
Yeah, I have a bad feeling, too. Something about... We need to find that merchant to confirm. But if we were to confront him right now... Good idea. Hey, tell me...
We last saw him on the north shore of Port Ormos.
Well, it'd still be worth taking a look. Architect... We need to do something before this...
I don't think I've ever seen you guys before. Here for business?
You're Fahar, right?
Yes. May I ask who introduced you?
Alkami. My friend here wants to enroll in his architecture class, but they're a bit short on money. Alkami told us you're the man to go to in this kind of situation.
Oh, sounds like his business is booming. How much do you need?
Let me see.
Oof, you call that a bit short on money? Anyway, since you're here because of Alkami, I can work things. Here you go. Don't worry, there's nothing particularly
And what if they won't be?
What do you mean, won't be able to pay it back? Once you graduate from Alkami's plan, and even if you were to run into some difficulties and need to delay the installments, it's no big deal. We're all It's hard work running a business. If we're taking risks to supply you with Mora, it's only... Anyway, there's no point in tying yourself in knots over the contract. With the way you're reading every single line, it's like you're worried you're about to get scammed out of your whole life savings.
I just did some calculations in my head. When you say the interest, of course the contract did a great job of trying to obfuscate that fact. It only listed the amount that you'll have to repay every day, which gives the false impression that the amount hasn't... If you actually do the math, however, it's clear that the amount you need to pay on interest alone will amount to hundreds of thousands of Mora per year. Most people can't even my creditor doesn't dare to raise rates that high. Once a family's signed on to a scheme like this, there's no...
What are you trying to say, huh? I figured something was off when two well-dressed people came looking for a loan. Too many people are sticking their noses where they don't belong these days. Luckily for me, the...
Eremites? I've already fought off more. There are only a few of them, so they shouldn't pose much of a threat. Marak, you're up! That's close enough!
I see everything!
Hey-ya!
Bow your head. I'll be back. You want this one.
Who are you and what do you want? I don't think we've done anything to hurt or offend you, so why go this far to destroy my livelihood?
Debt has the power to upend your whole life. I know very well just how miserable living in debt can be. But my debts are the culmination of many different factors, and my interest rate is still somewhat reasonable. As long as I continue to work with my situation in mind, my debts will eventually be paid off. But these students are different. They have neither the mental preparation nor the financial resources to pay back a debt like this. You sold the dreams of becoming an architect to the students as bait, urging them to take on insurmountable amounts of debt to satisfy your greed.
Ha! Everyone knows there's no such thing as a free lunch. It's their own fault for falling into the trap. And if we're going to talk about greed, aren't those students the ones who are blinded by it? They completely ignore the risk, that's right.
Ha! And here comes the silver tongue. Surely you use that to reel in the students as well. Even now, many of them are still hopelessly dreaming of striking gold after they graduate. People grow by learning from their mistakes. I hope this will be a valuable lesson to them. Let's head back to the academia and turn this guy over to the Matra. They should be able to link him with Alkami's business. Sino? Didn't think I would run into you here.
My vacation just ended not too long ago, so I'm going... I see. Charging an interest rate over 30% indeed constitutes a crime. As it is highly likely that Alkami is also benefiting from this scheme, the Matra will... Any funds we manage to recover from the suspects will be returned to the students. It's unclear how...
That should still be enough. Once the student... Anyway, thank you for your help.
It's no trouble. Just another day at work. How did you accept any mora from him?
He promised to pay me 300,000 mora per lecture, but I resigned.
Ah, that's good.
What do you mean, that's good?
I wouldn't have gone that far. But, had he insisted that you were also an active participant in his schemes. Either way, though, I believe you are innocent in all of this. Had you actually been alright with making money through less than...
Hey, what was that?
Never mind.
You're just messing with me.
Let's get back to business. If Alkami's case can be successfully resolved, you'll be eligible for a monetary reward from the academia.
Huh. I didn't even know there was such a thing. I never would have guessed.
The reward will be given regardless of your personal motivations. It was implemented with the intent of encouraging people to supply tips to the Matra.
Fine.
Is there anything else?
I want to go back to the training center one more time.
Sure, but you should wait until tomorrow. My subordinates will shut down the center today.
All right, then I'll stay out of their way.
I have a few other things to take care of, so I'll be off for now. If you want to follow up on this case, just come find me again. Or ask one of the Matra.
That should finally be the end of that. Oh, to think Alkami would sink this low. Still, I think I feel a little better now than when you found me back at the tavern. It's a little ironic, but you could say it's because I've realized that there are many circumstances in the world that are even worse than my own. Now that I've seen such things firsthand, I suppose I've earned a new sense of appreciation for my life. How should I put it? I'm pretty stubborn when the arguments are usually extremely frustrating, and every once in a while I'd wonder if I only became an architect because fate wanted me to pay for some sins I'd committed in a previous life. Alkami's suggestion would have allowed me to quit my life as an architect and earn money solely from my reputation. But now that I've experienced that for myself, I can confidently say that I'd never want to do it again. Every scholar has their own sense of pride and a line that they don't like to cross. Of course, when faced with the vicissitudes of life, some will surrender these things to seek a more comfortable life. I can understand that. Just speaking for myself, though, I don't think that's something I'd ever be able to do. The voice in my heart would just keep repeating one thing. The moment I turn away from my dreams would be the moment my career ends. If I stopped devoting everything to my creative activities, I'd be able to lead a more comfortable life, but at the same time, my sense of intuition and understanding for the arts would also begin to degrade. At that point, any materialistic ease I may have gained in life would just become another form of torment. In comparison, my current life comes with its share of difficulties, but at least I'd never have to deal with that kind of existential reckoning. I appreciate it. You may call me conceited for this, but I would also like to think I'm talented enough to be able to lead a decent life without compromising my pride. It's certainly not easy, but I want to keep at it. My thanks again for being such a great help throughout all of this. I'm planning to pay another visit to those kids tomorrow. Want to come? All right, I'll see you tomorrow then.
Alkami was a scammer.
The training center has been shut down, and the Matra have promised to return some of our tuition. But we've already spent so much time on this class. What should we do next?
Mr. Kave said we can keep working on our fundamentals and try to get into the academia. Ha! Easier said than done. If it was easier to get into the academia, none of us would have signed up for the class in the first place. Only the best of the best can get into the academia studying on their own. Mr. Kave might be willing to teach us.
Why? What reason does he have to stick around?
So, you're the only ones that showed up today, huh?
Huh? Kave's here!
Now, that's Mr. Kave to you. I'm here as your instructor, so let's keep things a little more proper. I'll keep instructing you for a while longer. You can pass on the message to the other students. As long as someone wants to come, they can join the class. Oh, also, I'm usually pretty busy, so I'll only be able to teach architecture fundamentals on my days off. Another disclaimer, I can't promise that you'll all be able to understand everything I'm going to teach. Architecture is not an easy profession. Aesthetics aside, even the basics of safe design can already be a handful for most people. If you want to design safe buildings, you'll have to go through a systematic study of structural engineering. And just as a heads up, all of this will be a huge step up from the superficial stuff you were learning before. It'll take both talent and perseverance to get through the course. I don't want to hear anyone say that I didn't warn you.
We'll try our best.
It seems some of you are really serious about this after all. All right, everyone, pack your stuff up. No need to prepare much for today's class. We're going to go on a quick field trip. You'll know once we get there. Come on, let's get going. We'll be off once everyone's grabbed their pencils and sketch pads.
Faster? Okay, faster. Faster? Okay, faster.
This lighthouse has been around for a long time, and I handled its renovations when I first graduated from the academia. The point of today is not so much about the lighthouse as a building, however. I just want you to take a look at it and do a bit of self-reflection. If you were tasked today with designing a building, how would you want it to look like? Don't think about how you'd actually go about building it for now. Just put your ideas to paper and draw the prettiest building that comes to your mind.
So, it can be, any kind of building?
Yep, as long as you think it'd look good. It doesn't even necessarily have to be a building. If you want, you can draw trees, the ocean. In my experience, it's best to approach the study of architecture from a point of personal interest, rather than for the sake of a career. Both the study and practice of architectural design are extremely difficult. A person who's forced to work on projects that they don't resonate with will only struggle and suffer. So at least for today, I hope the students will be able to create something that they enjoy. There's no need to think about it too hard. They'll have plenty of time in the future to revisit the design and make changes. What do you think? Want to try your hand at it as well? Don't forget that this is a free class from Mr. Kave, the light of the Kasharwar, on a normal day.
Faster? Okay, faster. Again. Sorry, but I don't really have time to chat right now. I was originally looking up some information at the House of Dana, but the more I read, the more I realized that my thesis is horribly lacking. I should have been done with the first draft of my thesis by now, but I've barely written a third. Well, I guess I have to keep looking up as much info as possible. I shouldn't give up now. But who am I kidding? Maybe I'm not cut out to be a researcher. Maybe I shouldn't have come to the academia in the first place. All I've done is cause trouble for my advisor and classmates. I should probably notify my advisor sooner than later, so he can focus his attention on the other students. No, I don't even have the guts to bring it up, and I haven't completely given up yet. To be honest, I haven't slept a wink for days. Just thinking about the awful state of my thesis keeps me up at night. Lack of sleep hinders my ability to focus, and if I can't focus, I can't do any proper research or thinking. I'm stuck in a vicious cycle. I've seen the caliber of the other academia students. They're all geniuses and fast learners. I'm nowhere near as gifted as they are. If it wasn't for someone who's been helping me out, my advisor probably would have kicked me out of the Darshan by now. No. All my friends are back home. I'm the only one who got to come study at the academia. This might sound strange, but I actually don't know who's been helping. Due to my lack of sleep, yeah. But oddly enough, when I wake up, my homework's somehow finished before the deadline, and my papers are perfectly written. But that's not all. My flowers are watered, laundry,
I really don't know what's going on. Maybe the stars above decided to help out after seeing all the... but there's no point in me studying at the academia. It comes down to my own efforts, improving one step at a time. How else can I honor my parents and live up to the expectations of everyone who knows me? Oh no, I still haven't made much headway on my thesis. At this rate, I'll need the wisdom seal. Yes, but time's of the essence. But the wisdom seal is truly amazing and freely shares its endless knowledge. If you want its help, all you have to do is write down your question, and you'll get a response a short while later. No one knows who or what it actually is. It's just known as the Wisdom Sealy. But getting an answer all comes down to the Sealy's mood. Sometimes it'll only give you a vague answer or play tricks on you. All I can do right now is hope that it helps me. Who knows if it'll happen this time? I can't put all my eggs in one basket. Trying my luck with another phenomenon is better than doing nothing. Oh, really? But I don't want... Sorry for the bob. Okay, let's go. I just hope among the countless legends surround... It hasn't been around for long, so... I don't know its name, and we have to keep our voices down in the... Let's split up